into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Welcome to another episode of Mob Wives. We're here in Season 5, Episode 5, Digging Up Dirt. I am your host, Erika Vieira, and I am joined here by my lovely co-host,
Gabrielle. Loren. Hey, guys.
And I have to say that this episode was juicy.
It was completely juicy, and we were definitely digging up a lot of dirt this one.
Yeah, there was a lot that they squeezed into 45 minutes. So it was a crazy, juicy episode, and we've got a lot to talk about. So let's get started. All right. So at the beginning of the episode, you guys, we see Renee, and she's all upset. She got the newspaper, and she was getting all the Google updates letting her know that Junior is basically on the stand again, putting more people into jail and basically coming out and confessing certain things. Mm-hmm. And one of which we know about from last episode, is Ronnie, I believe his name, which is Big Angie's cousin. So Renee's upset about that. She talks to Karen. Karen comes in, and Renee's more upset, more so because I think it just rattles her anytime anything associated with Junior is just out there.
Yeah, I mean, she has the, animosity against him for their breakup and all the things that he did to her, her family, and her friends. So I completely get it. And I get the point that she doesn't want to be, attached or reflected upon because of his name.
But what's interesting, what I find is interesting, is that she constantly says that. She's like, me and AJ shouldn't have to pay for his sins. We shouldn't have to constantly be reminded of the man that he is. But at the same time, I feel that she takes everything and she allows it to affect her. We see it later on in the episode. It's like the therapist is trying to tell her, you got to let it go. And she doesn't. She just doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's her biggest problem, is letting things go. She literally lets every relationship she has, whether it's a friend or a boyfriend, husband, affect her in that way, where it controls her life. Unfortunately, she's a really emotional person, I think. So that's why she's so high intensity with it. But if she can get off the pills and stop self-medicating and do more holistic things, relax, and kind of figure out her purpose and to kind of find herself in it and not just be so influenced by outsiders. That's really what's affecting her.
I just think that she's just such a sensitive person. And when I met Renee here, we've interviewed her a couple times, and her sister, her sister said, who's the executive producer of the show, it says Renee's an extremely sensitive person. And we were talking about, is she going to be on the show again? If not, because it's obvious that not only does her history with Junior and that whole thing affect her, but now you add into the pot the reality show and all the drama with the women and all that, and it compounds itself to be a tremendous problem for Renee, so much to the point that she becomes addicted to drugs. And we see, and it saddens me, because you want to root for Renee, and because she is a good person, and she's definitely the rock of the show. I feel like it's a lot of everything centers around her, but then it's sad to see her kind of spiraling down again in this episode.
Yeah, I feel like the drugs have probably been around in her life for a while, even prior to filming.
Yeah, I'm sure they have.
But I feel like the show is actually beneficial for her, because she's able to watch herself back on camera. She's able to see her friends for who they are, and I think we'll all come to see that towards the end of the season, and kind of see what her own mistakes are to make her a better person.
Yeah, and that's a good point, and that's a little bit kind of the back and forth that we had when they came in. It's like the chicken or the egg. Is a show making her problems worse, or is it allowing her to reflect on everything? In my opinion, I think it's probably making it worse.
I think you know, the drama's definitely intensifying because of the show. But I think
you don't need a reality show to self-reflect on your behavior.
But some people aren't able to see how they act, and they're unaware that they have a problem. And I think by watching yourself back on TV, you're more capable of seeing that you have an issue.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so we move on from that, and then we see Drita and Big Ange going to Natalie's new apartment in New York. And Natalie is opening the door thinking they're all visiting, and, oh, let me give you the tour. And Big Ange's like, I don't want to see a tour. Like, I want to get this whole situation with this other Natalie, calling her a cop caller. We got to get this resolved. So they talk to Natalie and they confront her. And Natalie has an explanation. Supposedly it's in self-defense, which in a way, I feel that the women were kind of put into a corner, because how are you going to argue against self-defense in a way?
Right. I definitely think that these girls went with the intention of stirring up the pot, trying to figure out if, you know, what Renee's saying is really true, which I think is ridiculous. Can you not see it for yourself?
What's ridiculous?
I mean, Renee's trying to convince the girls that Natalie has an issue, and she's a storyteller, and she, you know, makes up lies, pits people against each other, and she's just a drama seeker. And then the girls like Ange and Drita want to believe this because they like hanging out with her. But essentially, the only way for them to figure it out is to kind of dive into it head on first themselves. And I think it's a little ridiculous to just take a piece of information, bring it to this girl, and ask her if it's true. When how does that relate to your current situation? It's past information.
It's so past, and it's so not
petty.
Relevant. It's so not relevant to anything that's at hand, which is why I think it makes Drita and Big Ange just look silly in a way. And I almost think Natalie's looking like, what are you talking about? That was so long ago, and why are you taking this random stranger's word, which is kind of what I said last week. Like, why are you taking this random stranger's word as gospel? I mean, you don't know who this person is, and it turns out that was true, but you don't know the whole side of the story, and it's just weird, the whole thing. It's like they're women, and I don't know, they're in the 30s, 40s, whatever, and they're just acting like they're in high school.
Right. And you know, Natalie used the excuse that she called the cops in self-defense.
Yeah.
But let's be real. What kind of self-defense is she talking about? To save her name? To save what? Was she getting physically abused, verbally abused? Let's be real. I definitely think it's all BS, and I think everyone's going to come to see this at the end of the season. I can't stress that more.
BS? The fact
I think that whole cop situation is BS. I think that there was no self-defense issue involved.
You think she's lying?
I think she's completely lying. She was just angry. We see how angry she gets on camera. She took it to another level. She wanted to get revenge on this guy that she was dating. She wasn't happy with him. So what's the best way to stab at somebody? To put them back in jail.
And we don't have much to go off of. Like, it's not like we have a great impression of Natalie so far as being a noble type of a person. No. We really see her as a drama queen, as someone who likes to fight. So it is hard to take her side in any respect. I mean, you want to believe her. You want to think, oh, she was defending herself, but she hasn't earned any merit with anybody.
Right.
She hasn't done it. She hasn't earned it from us. She hasn't earned our trust. So it is, it's easy to kind of dismiss her and be like, she's lying.
I completely agree with you on that point. And I also think, why would the guy in the gym that's talking to Natalie D come out and say to her on the phone, this is what he, repeated back to Natalie D. I was there, like, I'm his friend. I know what happened.
Yeah.
You put him in jail. We have the same PO officer. I know the story.
And so
he pretty much sided with Natalie D. This is the truth.
So let's talk about that. So this episode we get introduced last episode we got introduced to this Natalie D. Now it seems like she's more official. She's got, scenes by herself, and they're introducing her, and it looks like it's kind of a new cast member. And I kind of want to know what your kind of initial thoughts are on her, because I definitely have some opinions.
I think you do too. Natalie D, it was an interesting situation because we saw her last episode being presented as a model on a shoot for this magazine, right? To me, she doesn't come across as a model per se.
Definitely
but
not.
I was told that she kind of came into the situation. It wasn't in a planned sense. However, I feel it may be opposite. I was told that, right place, right time. She wound up knowing one of the same people on the cast, and then she came in on it. But I definitely feel like it was a little bit set up, unless it's just a cheap clothing line that doesn't really care what their, product looks like next to whoever.
It was definitely set up.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
it
no way
seemed very story-induced.
She doesn't look like really a model. I mean, not knocking on her, but just...
Yeah, she's not model material.
No.
I mean, the other girls are pretty. I just think that, she's a typical Philly girl. I like her attitude. I like that she tells things straight up. She seems a little more sane than the regular Natalie, but I think she's definitely a hard ass also.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call her more sane than the regular Natalie. I think we've seen more of the regular Natalie. We haven't seen much of this Natalie D. So it's Natalie D is a new girl, just to make it
I mean,
simple.
even in the situation, she didn't really, the only thing she said to Drita was just be careful. And she mentioned the parole thing, but
she didn't get a chance, because
like,
then it turned into a whole situation with Renee and
right, but
Big
she
Edge.
doesn't use her words like how Natalie's like,
I don't know,
this
did you see the way she was talking
trash,
to...
beep, 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 beep. It's like constant negative energy.
Well, did you see the way she was talking to her boyfriend? I mean, it was pretty, every other word was beeped out. I got the impression from her that she was very rough around the edges. She was
definitely rough around the edges, but
she was definitely like she was a fighter. She to me, she struck me as the exact same kind of person.
I think she's just more loyal. She seems like she may be trying to look out for other people by giving them that tip off, watch out for the girl. Because if I knew somebody that came up to me and we knew the same person they were associating with, I knew what they were capable of, I might say the same thing. Like, watch out for them.
I think she's just as bad as Natalie. She's just trying to stir the pot. I think she's...
So, yeah, what else do you think about her?
That's it.
That's
it? I just think she's rough around the edges.
You think they're both on the same level of crazy?
Yes, I think they are. I think that's why they brought this girl in, because Natalie was kind of on her own in the sense that she's this firecracker and the other women were there, but there wasn't anyone who was, like, at her level when it came to crazy, who was willing to kind of go at it. I mean, a lot of these girls are just like, no. I mean, it just... Natalie... Our original Natalie she's bona fide crazy, and I think this new Natalie is just as crazy. And I think we'll see it.
Yeah, fans, let us know what you guys think on our YouTube.
What do you think about the new Natalie D? We want to know. All right, so another scene we see is Karen and Storm reconciling, getting back together. I have to say that I do think that Karen looked fabulous in this scene. I love that white dress with the flowers. She looked great walking in the restaurant, and Storm definitely took notice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they reunited, they reconciled the differences when it came to that, woman at their house at 7 o'clock in the morning. What do you think about how that all went down?
So I'm glad that they took out some time to meet, communicate about what the issue was, and kind of figure it out. I like the fact that this wasn't your typical, you messed up, now we're over. She talked it out, realized that there is more to that relationship. They put in a lot of work. I mean, she moved back to New York mainly for him, not just the show. So there's a lot of investment there.
There's a lot of history,
A lot of history, too. So I think, the fact that he came out and said, I'm 100% sorry. I understand why you would be upset. And he literally couldn't have said it any better.
But he didn't, to me, he didn't admit anything.
Well, maybe he did, but that doesn't mean we saw it.
I know, but we can only go off of what we see.
Right.
And you would hope that he admitted something and they had a much more serious discussion than that.
I mean, from what we know as the audience, all he said was that this was a friend and she needed, to make a phone call, I think, at 7 a.m. Use the bathroom. So that was the story.
Which
That's
I think
all
he's totally
he admitted.
lying. Do you think he's lying?
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely think he's lying. But the thing is that people mess up. And if he realizes what he's going to lose, because I think Karen kind of draws the boundaries, and she said, if this happens again, we're gone. Like, we're done. And I wholeheartedly believe she will walk away if it happens again.
To me, it's just like she happened to catch him in something that I think he would do often. Because the way it was, the whole situation, he was out till 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
There was some chick, he brought her home. It wasn't as if like he was having this affair or whatever, and then he was all sorry. It was a very casual thing, which made it seem to me that it was something that he did.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying
maybe he hooked up with a bunch of different women. He cheated on her.
Yeah.
Not like having another serious relationship, but having sex with other girls.
I'm not saying I wouldn't do something different in that situation if it was me, but I think the way Storm handled it, he came from a mature standpoint. Most people communicate in a negative way where they're like, well, you did this and you did that, and that's the end of the conversation.
I mean, he admitted that there was something wrong.
I mean, he said he was sorry, so he must have done something wrong. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And I think, he knows, he said he can't win with her, so this next time around, if he messes up, he knows it's going to be over.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see what happens from here, but I'm glad she gave him another chance. And I've seen it happen before in reality TV. For example, Kendra Wilkinson and Hank Baskett. That's a prime example of something that was in the media blown up where they say he cheated with a transvestite, real big story. But you see it play out on her show, and, he did a lot of things wrong, but it's nice to also see people not just drop something and kind of work it out, because there are people out there who are sincerely, they know they messed up. People make mistakes. You're not perfect.
I just wonder if this guy, if Storm is
legitimate.
Yeah,
and he's really sorry.
He's not the kind of guy that he's, 6 months later, he's going to do the same thing.
I think he's really sorry, but I would hope that he wouldn't do the same thing. And if he does, his loss,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if he does, then hopefully Karen catches him and dumps him.
Yep.
So, all right. So, next up, we see Renee she's going to a doctor to try and get help, like a natural, from a natural path. She's trying to kind of not do the pill route, which it looked like to me in this episode she was starting to use again, because it seems like she's at her breaking point again, and she was doing well. But I think the whole thing with Junior being back in the papers and this whole situation with Big Ange is bothering her. I think she's really affected by the fact that Big Ange is kind of turning on her, because they've known each other for so long, and I think it's really, really eating at Renee. I think Renee just doesn't understand how Big Ange could turn around and side with Natalie, considering their history, and Renee is all about loyalty. So this goes against everything she stands for as a friend and as a person. So I think that's eating her up inside, coupled with the whole thing with Junior. And now we see...
It's eating me up as an audience member, because I come from a standpoint where you think, because they've preached loyalty all 5 seasons, that at least the girls that were the originals would stick by each other and listen. When someone's explaining to you, it bothers me that this girl stabbed me in the back, but you're still acting like no big deal. This is still a friend to you. And it bothers her, and she's just acting like no big deal. It's casual, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not taking sides. I get it. No one's asking you to take sides, but at least have some, compassion for the girl. Like, she's really, upset with the way things are going down.
Yeah, and a sense of loyalty, because, a lot of times when you look at these situations, you look at these women, it's crazy. And it's like they over-dramatize everything. They make a big deal of everything. You're like, oh, my God. But in this sense, I do somewhat understand where Renee's coming from. I think if the situation were, it's something that I was dealing with, and say I had a friend that I've been friends with for years, and this new person comes in and they take side with them, I think I'd feel a little bit hurt, too. And I understand where Renee's coming from. I think things go really deep, though, because now we've got this situation with Big Ange's cousin and Ronnie and now Junior. And so that adds another layer into this whole situation. And I think what we see later on in the episode, Big Ange kind of lashing out at Renee, I think that's a result of that, which it's unfortunate that I think Big Ange is taking that whole situation and kind of putting that against Renee as well.
Yeah, because Renee feels as though she has no loyal friends anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of walking away from her, except for Karen.
Yeah, Karen's like her friend. So we see Renee trying to deal with this. She's going to a naturopathic doctor. She's like, I don't want to be doing pills anymore. Let's do something natural. So she's in the middle of getting like a vitamin
treatment.
Yeah, IV vitamin treatment, like in the middle of it. I'm like, did they plan this or what? And then she gets this text or phone call from someone telling her that AJ's been totally hurt and that he can't move. He's like paralyzed. Right. Naturally, she's freaking out. She's like, oh my God, like get this off of me. And you see her running, and then you see, AJ coming out in a stretcher. And we come to find out that he tore his Achilles tendon, which is very, very painful.
Any tendon is painful.
And that takes
a
long time to recover. Yeah. And I think you're never the same after that. So it's unfortunate. I know Renee, I mean, look, Renee did not need that at that moment, really. She was already kind of she was very fragile. She was about to break, and I think this is what really broke her.
Talk about these girls being dramatic. That text was super dramatic because they're like, he's on the floor, he can't move, we're calling an ambulance, and she's thinking he's dead.
He's
well,
paralyzed.
Don't freak the mother out.
Well,
he's alive.
They probably don't know. I mean, at that point when he was in so much pain and he was lying on the floor.
He's in pain, but he's on a basketball court. We know he's not dead. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So the way that text was handled, I think, was super inconsiderate and dramatic. Yeah.
So then, she gets, naturally, she's very, very upset. Yeah. And then we see in the next scene, Karen is sitting down with Big Ange, and they're, I think they're at Karen's house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Karen gives Big Ange a 4-on-1 on what happened to AJ, and Big Ange is naturally concerned. We see Renee come in, and the ladies start talking, and Ange is trying to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry about that," blah blah blah, and right away, Renee goes into the whole Natalie thing, and Big Ange is like, "Wait, how did it go from AJ to Natalie?" And that's Renee. That's classic Renee. Renee can't. She can't separate anything. Everything is just...
Everybody and everything's attacking her.
Yeah, everything and everybody.
She's a victim.
And it's all, a explosion, I think, in her mind. Mm. And so she sees Big Ange and equates that with this whole drama that she's experiencing.
But, essentially, she is under high stress from all of these things.
Yeah,
so I don't blame her for bringing it up again. I think it's literally probably driving her crazy because Natalie, no offense, is driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I can't stand this girl.
I can't either. I
want to pull out my hair watching all the drama unfold and how dirty she plays and all that. I can't.
I know, and I know we get a lot of comments in the comment section saying that people think we agree with one another and all that, but it's hard. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if there's people out there that love Natalie, we're not representing that side. I apologize because I try and find the best in a lot of people.
Yeah, and she's a pretty girl. We said that.
But I really can't stand her. I think she's dirty and she plays dirty, and we see that play out throughout this episode. It's a constant theme. Renee is, and we see in this scene, which is interesting, Renee, and this is something Renee did reveal in her interview with us. So she told us that she was doing drugs with Natalie, and that's how Natalie knew that Renee was doing drugs, because Natalie was also doing drugs. So she said
and she threw her under the bus.
She totally threw her under the bus. And that's exactly what happened. And that's what Renee has been upset about this entire time. So she's saying, you know what, like, she's speculating that the reason Big Ange is siding with Natalie is because Big Ange is afraid that if she doesn't side with Natalie, if she goes up against Natalie, Natalie's going to find some dirt on Big Ange and blast it to the world. That's what Renee is speculating. I think Renee is to the point where she doesn't understand it so much that she has to come up with some kind of theory as to why Big Ange is siding with Natalie, and that's her theory. And I don't know if Natalie has anything on Big Ange per se. I don't think so. I mean, what could these women possibly be doing like that?
Other than drugs, I have no idea.
I mean, and what are these women doing that's so bad that it's got to be, hidden, and you're afraid to break up with that person or whatever. I don't know what they could possibly be doing. I don't think Big Ange is doing anything. I do think, though, what Renee is saying has some merit in the sense that I do believe that if you ever go up against Natalie, no matter how close you are at some point, she will do what she's doing in this episode. She won't just be okay saying, it's peace, we're done, let's move on. She's got to take revenge. She's got to go into records, find out what she's got on you, and get a revenge. She's a very vengeful, spiteful type of a person. And so she can't just let things go. And so that's what we see her doing that in this episode with this Natalie D girl. She's like, who's this girl? And she's like, all right, well, this girl is going to be sorry because I'm going to pull up every single little piece of dirt that I can find on this person, and I am going to make sure everybody knows about it.
You know what, though? The girl already came on camera to us and said what she's been accused of. What else is Natalie going to bring up?
Well,
Let's be real.
See.
They sounded pretty bad anyways.
Yeah.
Prostitution ring, racketeering. Like, come on. What else can the regular Natalie bring up to us that's going to change our mind about her?
Well, supposedly she brought up something about her
restraining order.
Yeah,
but that's not even a big deal.
I know. This was like
she took out a restraining order on somebody else. I think.
Natalie was like, yep, I got it. I'm thinking, like, what's the big deal about
I
that?
thought you were going to talk about the prostitution. If anything, that's pretty serious.
The drug, the racketeering, all that. That's hardcore. I mean, these women are like hardcore. I mean, you compare them to the dramas that they have on The Housewives. I mean,
they picked them straight out of jail. That's for sure.
I mean, they are hardcore women with hardcore problems, hardcore dudes that they're hanging out with. I mean, these are all, they're legit when it comes to that stuff. Sure. So I mean, we see that Renee has a little bit of a point in the sense that Natalie likes to find dirty laundry and air it. That's like her MO. She loves to do that. And so I think Renee has a point in that sense, but I don't know.
I think Renee has very valid points, and I am siding with her. I think that we will see some backstabbing going on. We will see a big fight probably in the next episode between the Natalies. And I'm going to say that Natalie Guercio is still a crazy biatch. I mean, she is gorgeous, but I definitely think that she's a problem starter, and she's honestly the enemy. You wouldn't want this girl to be your close friend unless you were keeping her close because you keep your enemies close. Yeah,
you wouldn't want to
exactly
have this girl be your friend. And so with Renee, I do think she has a fear of losing Big Ange, and I think that's one of the things that's really bothering her.
Well, not only is she going to lose Big Ange, but Big Ange might lose somebody too, or is going to lose somebody, her cousin who got sentenced 38 years.
Yeah, 38 years. And that adds fuel to the fire because, Renee is already upset at Big Ange for this Natalie thing, and now this whole other layer comes in. So I think their relationship is really being tested right now, and Renee is afraid of the outcome. And from what it looks like Big Ange has had it. It looks like she's done with the drama. She's done. She's taking this situation with her cousin very seriously, and I think Big Ange is done.
I think that whole event with the magazine thing that they went to, she was instigated. I think she was Big Ange was instigated, and that's why she said what she said, or in regards to, well, you were married to a rat, pretty much. But I think she said that out of anger. I'm sure there are hard feelings there, but it's kind of ironic because, like we've been saying all throughout the seasons, they've been talking about loyalty and how you shouldn't, especially with Karen on the show, you shouldn't judge a family and like a parent and a father figure and have their kid be judged for that and put in the same category because they're not responsible. They're merely like a witness to whatever happened. They are not, you know, by means that same person.
Yeah, so we see the end of the episode. We see this party that they're all going to. It's Drita's some kind of like magazine party? Is that what it was?
It was like
she
a
did
magazine
the makeup for the
event
magazine spread.
For the one that Natalie modeled for.
So they invited Drita to that. And Drita's super excited. She's thinking this is going to expand her business, her makeup business. And she's going to get a lot more opportunities. So she's very excited about this. She invites the ladies. And she does she not invite Natalie? She
didn't invite Guercio because she knew Natalie D was going to be there.
Which is smart. Yeah, I mean, I think that's good. And so the ladies are all talking, and Natalie D gets introduced to the women. And Renee likes Natalie D because she's telling it like it is about Natalie. She's liking that about her. And so it goes from Natalie D talking crap about Natalie G to Big Ange and Renee having at it. Renee basically says, well, Natalie herself is a rat for kind of doing drugs. She was doing drugs with Renee, and that's how she let everyone know that Renee's drug problem. And now Renee's saying, well, Natalie's DNA is on the dollar bill. And I think Renee was just saying that just to say it. And Big Ange took it all the way and said, well, look, now you're being a rat. You're being a rat. What, you the FBI? You got this DNA on Natalie? Mm-hmm. And Renee's like, no, that's not really what I was going for. And then the whole fight broke loose. And you see Big Ange and Renee going at it. And where it really, really got mad, what you said, Gabby, was where it really got spicy was where Big Ange called Renee married to a rat, basically, that she married a rat.
Yeah.
And that she knows a rat because she's married to one.
It's rough. I think Renee's going to actually wind up siding with Natalie based off everything we just talked about. Natalie D.
The new Natalie?
Yeah, the new Natalie. I think that because Natalie D knows how Natalie Guercio is, Renee's going to have that camaraderie with her.
Yeah.
And then, going off the Ange comment, I definitely do not think Ange really meant to hurt Renee, but I think she was forced to go there.
Yeah, because Big Ange knows that is the one thing that you do not say to Renee. She knows that. She's been friends with her for years.
Yeah, she knows how to start trouble.
She knows, yeah. And so she knew that was exactly the thing to trigger her. And that's what she did.
Right.
And so it's a little sad to see the two women fighting like that. I mean, Big Ange and Renee, you think of them as being friends, but this whole season's kind of been building up to this. And I was hoping the women would reconcile it. It looked like it when they brought on Victoria Gotti and all that, but I think there's just too much. There's too much going on right now, and they just can't. So that's it. Any other thoughts on the episode? I think we wrapped it up.
Only other thing I would want to comment on is the fact that we keep seeing Jarita talking to Lee on the phone, and he keeps sounding like such a jerk. Yeah.
He just doesn't sound like a nice dude.
No, just get everything. Okay, are you just ordering her around? Like, what?
And he knows that.
It's so rude the way he speaks to her.
What? He knows that we haven't had a chance to really know him. So, like, there's nothing that we can't really grow to like him because we haven't gotten to know him. We haven't seen him. So the only impression we have of him are those small, short phone calls. And every single one of them that we have heard has been him acting like a jerk.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's got to be something great about him that Drita loves, but we're not seeing it.
No, or maybe she loved something great about him a few years ago, not anymore.
Yeah, she's putting up with it. The other one thing, just a total side note I want to mention is how hilarious was it during the direct-to-camera when Natalie was talking and she whips out her hairspray.
Oh, Natalie Guarcio, yeah. I mean, I feel like when they're doing the interviews now for a lot of these reality shows, it's a little more casual than it used to be, because I've seen on Housewives,
They're taking drinks.
Yeah, they're sipping on wine. You know, every now and then they'll pick up a glass in between
I've never
their
seen
sentences.
the hairspray, though. I mean, come on.
I mean,
Really?
I think it's just sitting there on the ground and she just goes up. It's whatever's around them and they use that cut, I guess.
Oh, I know, it's funny.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Adds to the character, though.
Yeah, it does. It does. All right, predictions.
Predictions, wow.
Ooh, there's the music.
Your AfterBuzz TV.
Had to wait for that one. I believe that in the next episode, we're going to see the two Natalies come face to face, throw out what they have on each other. May find out some new information about each girl. Maybe they have some history and drama that we don't know about. And I think, well, what was the other major thing that happened? Oh, I guess the finale of Big Ange and Renee, the fight.
God.
It's going to get a little physical. I remember seeing Big Ange's hand come up
And it looked like
move
she was
forward.
hitting Karen.
You saw Karen.
It looked like she was hitting Karen.
Oh, but I think she meant to get, obviously, Renee.
Yeah.
Karen's, like, blocking them off. But I think she's reaching over to slap Renee. And I don't know if someone's going to get hit and then it gets real crazy or what, but I'm expecting a good fight next episode.
Yeah.
Intro to next episode.
I think so, too. I think the whole drama between Allie and Natalie is now, it's going to take off for the rest of the season. That's what we're going to see for the rest of the season is this drama between Allie and Natalie. I think Renee and Ange are going to reconcile it to an extent. I don't know if they'll ever be able to get back to where they were, but I think they're going to reconcile it. And I think the focus for the rest of the season is going to be these two Natalies. So.
I can agree with that.
All right, so that wraps it up. So, Gabby, where can everybody find you?
Everyone can find me on Instagram at Gabby, GABBYLO87, or at FitFabDaily, and then on Twitter at Gabrielle_Loren. What about you, Erika?
If you're interested in listening to interviews with big-time YouTubers, then check out my podcast. I have another one. It's called Beauty and the Vlog. That's with a V. I have a YouTube channel as well, Beauty and the Vlog. So just do it in the search in iTunes or YouTube, Beauty and the Vlog. And that's it.
Awesome. This was a great episode,
Yeah.
guys.
Let us know what you think, and don't forget to like the video below.
Yes.
All right, guys. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later,
bitches.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.